Hello and welcome back to the Spotlight Games podcast for episode 134. Today we're going to be reviewing the latest game from PlayStation Studios, Concord Plus. We haven't talked about what we've been playing in a few weeks, so we got some catching up to do. Joining me as always, my sweet dumpster boy, Cayman Darty. Cayman, how you doing?
Patrick, you told me before we got on the stream, you said, Cayman, you have to be a sweet boy this episode. No naughtiness. You can't be naughty this episode. You know what I say to that, Patrick? I'm not going to say it because I have to be sweet, actually. So you know what?
You can be as naughty as you want. What you got?
I don't know if I want to anymore.
No.
I don't know if I want to.
What's wrong, buddy?
I don't know if I want to be naughty anymore, Patrick. No, I don't think I wanna.
You don't want to maybe get a spanking on your bare butt, balls, and back?
I do love a good spanking on my bare butt, back, and balls.
Come on. We got GWTMori, who some people are saying has been the #1 streamer of Concord on twitch.tv/GWTMori, joining us for this episode, taking those earplugs out, but putting them right back in. Welcome back to the show, Mori. You're a good man. We're glad to have you. How you doing?
Dude, I'm great. I'm so happy to be back on Spotlight. Yeah, a couple days there, I was top in the category. Don't know if I am anymore. You know, some of the sponsorships are going out, and I'm not competing there. But yeah, it's been a good week. It's been a really good week.
Hey, we believe in you. Come on, let's get some focus on me, camera. We believe in you. And you know, maybe you weren't #1 today on the stream, but you're #1 in my heart,
dude.
That's all that matters.
That's everything to me. That's way more.
That's fucking priceless, some people would say. We got a lot of video game stuff to talk about because this is the Spotlight Games podcast, where each week we spotlight the latest and the greatest in the world of video games. You can get it by subscribing to our YouTube channel at Spotlight Games Pod, or by searching for Spotlight Games in your favorite podcast app. And hey, you can be on the show by tuning in as we record live Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern time right here on twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod, just like Rabbit128 is. He says, fuck you, Cayman, get pumped. His words, not mine.
Wow.
So be sure to follow us right here on Twitch so that you're notified when we go live, so you can be part of the conversation. Also, if you're here right now, like John is, we're going to be live tomorrow night right here, playing a little more Last of Us Part 2. I think we're gonna be streaming probably Last of Us Part 2, but you'll be notified when we go live to see what we're playing. And finally, join the Discord. We got a fun little Discord where we discuss what we're playing and generally goof off together about video games. So if that sounds like something you like, click the link in the bio of our socials. Click the link in the description of this podcast episode to join the Discord. Maury, I just remembered, I haven't even tried the stream together thing, so I'm going to try that right now to see if I can. Yeah, it looks like it wants me to like start a new stream, because I'm not. So we're killing it. We'll figure out a way to co-stream in the future.
I love it.
But that's okay, because the reason that we brought you on, as I mentioned at the top of the show, is Concord. Just came out a few days ago. Beta a few weeks ago. Last month.
I think it was last month. Yeah.
It was right. Fully out now. It came out on the 23rd last week, and you've been playing it so much. You've been streaming it hours every day. I also was naughty and used my PlayStation Stars points to pick up a copy of Concord because your hype got me hyped. And I've been playing a little bit as well, but not nearly as much as you. So what I wanted to do was review this game. But in order to do that, we need those sultry tones of GWTMori to come in and tell us the truth. So Mori, let's just start right out of the gate with like your initial quick, like, is this game good?
Yes, the game is good. And before I even get into the game being good, Patrick, I'm so happy you chose to be naughty and use those PlayStation Stars points, baby. Cayman, you're coming next. We got you. Yeah, the game's great. I think the game's great. I've really enjoyed my time with it. I've got like 70 plus hours, including the time I spent in the beta. So yeah, it's a lot.
Hell yeah. At this point, before I kind of like hand the reins to you and you give us your unabridged thoughts, right now, do you think Concord has what it takes to stick around?
Yeah, I do. I think I don't think that it's going to be this massive audience that you're going to see with a Fortnite or an Overwatch or an Apex, but I think that Yeah, but I think in like the last week, it's done a really good job of finding an audience. So I do think that it will survive. I do think it will find its audience. And I think that we're going to be okay. As a Concord fan, clearly a big Concord fan, I got 70 hours in. I think we're going to be okay. I do.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's music to my ears because, I never want a game to just be dead on arrival, even though it happens from time to time. Yeah. So, Mori, take us to church. Give us your review of Concord.
Dude, this is great. Dude, so I sat here, I'm not going to lie, today and wrote a written review of Concord.
So it'll be a first on Spotlight Games. So buckle up because we're making history here, folks.
Gosh, and I'm honored to take the written review virginity of Spotlight Games. Thanks for having me. Folks, it's a pleasure to be here. After spending 70 hours plus in Concord across the beta and launch, I can confidently say that I love what Firewalk Studios is up to. Concord is an arena shooter reminiscent of Halo with gunplay and movement like Destiny and Call of Duty-like modes. Many have compared Concord to other hero shooters like Overwatch and Valorant, and yet it manages to forge its own identity and present new ideas to the genre. Concord is launched with 16 playable free gunners, 12 maps, 6 modes, and a wide array of unlockable cosmetics with even more content planned for the future. And in an industry with countless free-to-play games that nickel and dime you at every turn, Concord has taken a different approach. For the $40 price point, you will get all content going forward. With the roadmap revealed, we can see the content and the cadence at which that content will be released post-launch. Season 1 coming in October with a new free gunner, map, variants, and cosmetics. Season 2 being set for January with everything listed above and a new mode with Season 3 teased for April. The game also comes paired with a Galactic Guide, a section of the game that displays an interactive map of Concord's universe where you can learn about Concord's world through hovering over planets, characters, ships, and more. This on top of weekly vignettes, which are cutscenes providing stories about the characters of the game, releasing every single week to entrench players deeper into the world of Concord. That's a lot of content for $40, but what makes content interesting enough to be worth the money? What makes it unique? Concord takes many cues from hero shooters while managing to address some of the most frustrating parts of the genre. One decision made in Concord that makes this game shine is the lack of ultimate abilities. Instead of having an I win button charged up to swing the match in the last stretch, Concord rewards teams' efforts throughout a match, good communication, and a thorough understanding of the free gunners you select. Another excellent addition to this title is the crew bonus system. The crew bonus system rewards you for playing multiple characters throughout a match. There are 6 classes in the game: Anchor, Breacher, Ranger, Tactician, Haunt, and Warden. Each class type has a passive bonus such as increased reload speed, increased range, or decreased recoil. This is where the game really starts to sing. While Concord is easy to grasp, this is what makes it difficult to master. No matter what free gunner you end up leaning toward, you will find cons with their kits. The crew bonus system exists to provide solutions to those cons. One great example would be Vale. Vale is the sniper of this game. She has a 1 bullet in her chamber weapon. That was really adequately said. Jesus. And basically, right, her reload speed is extremely, extremely slow. But if you select a Tactician who has increased reload speed before you switch to your Vale, you're now getting more shots off if you're up against another Vale faster. This is on top of a variant system, multiple versions of each free gunner that slightly change the way they play. One example would be Lennox. Lennox has 2 variants. His first variant being that when he rolls, he reloads his weapon, and his second variant having 10 bullets in the chamber instead of 6. This keeps gameplay fresh so that even when you're up against the same free gunner you're playing as, you will both be playing the character very differently. This is also one of, if not the most graphically impressive arena hero shooters I've played. The character models in the vignettes look nearly identical to the in-game models, which is not a small feat. This is on top of some of the best sound design I've experienced in a shooter, rivaling that of Rainbow Six Siege. The sound design is intricate and focused, providing an even more competitive experience. The gunplay is crunchy, and each weapon feels different in your hands. This game has done an excellent job of immersing you in the moment through smooth movement, visceral gunplay, and sounds that pull you into each encounter of a match. The game is also outrageously well balanced. No free gunner feels useless or overpowered. This is due in part to great design for their kits, but also excellent balancing for abilities, weapon damage, debuffs, and healing. This might be the most polished I've ever seen a shooter at launch. But what does Concord lack? While I feel the amount of free gunners and maps are excellent, I couldn't help but feel surprised at the end of the beta when I realized that I had played every mode that would be available at the launch of Concord. There's something missing in the modes. I think I'd like to see a greater variety of modes in Concord, something that has already been addressed with the roadmap, but a problem I still wish was getting a solution sooner. I also feel that too often, some of the unique elements of this title are overshadowed by how fast some of the games can go. For example, the crew bonus system. I have a crew bonus strategy that makes me go between 3 characters throughout a match. But sometimes I get to the end of the match before I ever even get through all of my pieces of my build. This ties in with my previous complaint. I think we need a longer game mode that really allows people to dip into the crew bonus system and feel how much it changes this game. I also feel that many of the outfits for the free gunners outside of their legendary outfits come off as rushed and look like nothing more than a simple color swap. It feels important to clarify there are really excellent skins to unlock for each character, but excellent, interesting skins are not the majority of what you will unlock in your time as a free gunner. Despite feeling lackluster in its number of modes available at launch, the thing it does best often feeling overshadowed by quick match times and some cosmetics feeling a bit uninspired, nothing can take away from what I felt playing Concord over the last 70 hours. I've experienced a childlike wonder that I haven't felt for a multiplayer shooter since I was 14 years old in 2014 when Destiny first launched. You can feel the love these devs have for this game coming out of every crevice of it. The intricate sound design of each weapon, the inspired abilities, the deep, rich lore in the Galactic Guide, the excellent map design, and so much more show how passionate Fireworks Studios is about Concord, and I feel their passion seeping into me every time I play this game. Concord managed to do something different in a space that is extremely competitive, and I think that's worth celebrating and supporting. On the Spotlight game scale, I would give Concord a 4. It is absolutely great. I greatly look forward to dumping more of my time into this title for many years to come.
Hell yeah. And that's a 4 out of 5, just in case you're like 4 out of 10. That's great.
4 out of 5 golden shovels.
So I have a lot of questions based on that feedback. But first of all, very well done. Very concise, very in depth. Saying something is concise and in depth sounds like I'm saying opposite things, and maybe technically I am, but I said what I said. Fucking get over it. First thing I want to bring up is a point that you made about variance. Saying that like you use the example of Linux. Does every free gunner have a variant in this game?
So there are going to be new variants that launch each week. So this was the start of this week for Concord. So a new Haymar variant is now available to unlock. So as time goes on, you will have different variants for each hero, but there's not variants for every hero right now yet.
Okay. And then with the way variants work, is it like if I'm Linux and Linux has a variant, if then the other team chooses Linux, he automatically has the variant, or you choose when you're choosing the hero, whether you're using variant like A or B? Does that question make sense?
Yes. No, it does. It does. Yeah. You get to select which variant you want to choose.
Got it.
And then, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's funny. Like some of the things that you mentioned in your review, because I played the beta, so did Cayman, and then I've played maybe 5 or 6 matches in the final build. So not a ton more experience, but I will say off the bat, those matches that I played earlier today in prep for this show really clicked for me. I had a really fun time. And I think part of that is because one of the things that you mentioned in your review that I don't feel like happened for me in the beta that happened today was that teamwork vibe. And I feel like for me, as someone who doesn't play games like this very often, I think that is going to be the crux for me, where like I can already tell if I'm in a match where that isn't happening, it just won't be as fun, at least until I get a lot better at this game, because I'm just not very good at these types of games because I don't play them a lot. And like in one of the matches that I played, you could tell our team had no synergy. We were all over the place, just getting absolutely wrecked. And then the next match, we had, I don't remember anybody's names. We had the lady that's flying with the fire gun, Haymar.
Yeah. Let's go, baby.
We had the big trash can guy.
One off.
Yeah, big trash boy.
Because
what I've also noticed, I don't know if this is just something that was happening for me or if this is like kind of a meta game thing where like those two seem to always be together in every match that I played. And sometimes they would have like the guy in the box with the red head, like the kind of the bulky, beefy guy, and the rocket launcher gal who I like a lot. But what I'm getting at in this kind of, I'm all over the place with what I'm getting to, but I could tell when those crews were working together. If we weren't working together, no fucking chance. And so for 3 matches in a row, it got into this grind of both teams were really working together and jockeying for position. And that was so much fun to me. And I'm hopeful, and I'm curious, do you think like that's something that is happening because of the design of the game, or do you think, or am I just an idiot and this always happens in these kinds of shooters?
No, not at all. You're very right. The reason why is because like in this game, they clarified this when they first unveiled it, and that's that you're not winning in any 2v1 scenario where you're the one. Like the way you win in any game in Concord is through moving as a team, moving as a unit. It's the one thing that I haven't loved about my first 40 hours of the base game is that I've not been able to like match up with my friends
Sure.
and have a strategy. You know, I'm on stream yapping, so I'm hardly paying attention. I am like the misfit toy on the team that's holding everyone back. But yeah, that is how you win the games. It's everybody moving together in a unit, setting up at different points, locking the space down. And I'm excited to do that in the future off stream a lot. So
yeah, that's cool. I'm curious also too, with the amount of time that you've been streaming, because I ran into a funny thing today in my very limited time. Are we all familiar with Khalif Adams from Spawn on Me on the internet? I happened to play 2 matches in a row against him, and he just obliterated me both times. But again, 5-6 matches total. So very, very small sample size. Are you seeing that with your playtime of like kind of consistently seeing the same people? Not that that's a bad thing. I'm just curious if that is like a trend or not.
Yeah, no, it's kind of outrageous how many people I've ran into that I've noticed. A lot of people from my stream I've ran into. I'd say that's happened maybe 5 times where it was someone from the stream and I saw them in game and they're like, oh shit, that's me. I just clapped you. And I'm like, wow, that's actually insane. Earlier today, I guess it would have been yesterday, I went up against Dreamcast guy and ended up dunking on him. That felt awesome. And so, yeah, I end up seeing quite a few people that I recognize. I'm also trying to like remind myself that I have an outrageous amount of playtime compared to others. Like with 40 hours, maybe it's more likely that it happens to me, but still, I do think that it's got a limited fan base right now. I do.
Gotcha. Okay.
How do you think the fan base gets larger? What do they have to do to make this not just sustainable, but in your opinion, like how do you think they make this game a staple that has longevity?
Yeah. I think there's a couple methods that Firewalk can take going forward. I think one is that whenever there's a new season that comes out, it has to be a 3-minute interaction at a state of play. Has to be. Has to be. You have to keep putting it in people's faces. And I think the way that you encourage people to get excited about that is maybe you offer a free-to-play weekend in the near future, right? I think a lot of people got a really bad rap about this game at the beginning due to a lot of different factors that I'm sure we'll cover at some point. And so I think a lot of people now are sitting here like, well, I want to try the game. I just don't want to spend $40 on it. So I think they benefit from having like a free-to-play weekend. You got to work it into the state of play. And I think those are their two best ways.
Do you think they, you know, we don't know all the like the business side of things, but do you think that if they were to put it up on PlayStation Plus for a month, like, do you think that would move the needle, or do you think that might kind of be too bad for the bottom line of like losing out on revenue?
I think that would be too bad for the bottom line.
Gotcha.
I think you see that in a year, maybe more, if we don't see a shift.
Okay.
So that's why what they do in this next 2-3 month period with maybe a free-to-play weekend, making sure to announce the seasons at a state of play, I think that's going to be integral to whether or not you see it go on to PlayStation Plus in a year.
Yeah. I want to talk about the elephant in the room. We've already had one fucking asshole in the chat talking about apparently this game is woke garbage. What the fuck is going on? Like, from your perspective of someone who's like really entrenched in the community right now and really putting in the hours of this game, as someone who, again, has not played a lot of this game, like I genuinely don't understand how this game can be classified as woke. But what, like, do you have any sort of like idea of what the fuck's going on here? And also, can you catch up the people at home who might not be in the know about what's going on?
Totally. It's actually awesome. Vofin, the guy in the chat, he was in my stream earlier today, got banned, and he sat here for so he sat here for the last 3 hours and waited to come into here to say something.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Dedication. It's dedication I'm not proud of. Yeah. But there's some hate there.
Oh,
brother.
Dude, I'm like, man, you got to get a hobby or a job or a girlfriend or something, but you got to find a better way to fill the time.
Yeah.
But no, the dialogue around this game has been exhausting. truly exhausting. On launch day, I had like an insane number of viewers. And I would say 30% of people that came into that chat came in to repeat something I read on Twitter 15 times that day. Go woke, go broke. Dead game, gay game, woke game. And I'm like, oh man, dude, I can't. And I'm not gonna lie, I crashed out. Violated Twitch's terms of service a couple times. Sorry, Twitch. But yeah, I think people saw this title and they saw 4 black characters. They saw that there were pronouns with the characters, and they saw one white guy, Teo, and I think they just couldn't handle it.
Okay.
I think it just bruised their ego a little bit. And yeah, they're calling it woke. And the reason why is because they identify, woke as being anything diverse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jordan makes a really great point in the chat. Well, you see, Patrick, unless every protagonist is a white man who rips off a female's clothes with his bare teeth, it's not worth it. Jordan, very, very
If you would oblige me for a second.
Please.
Yeah.
Putting away the humor for a moment, just to say, like, what the fuck is wrong with people in regards to, like, when a product is made, not every product's going to be made for one particular group of people.
Sure.
It's just not how things work. If you go to the grocery store, right, or you go to the pharmacy, wherever you buy your razors, there's a billion types of razors. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Not every razor is going to be for you. Personally, I do love the women's razor with like the soap stuff in it already. Like you just get that baby silk smooth shave. Okay. What I'm saying though, not everything's going to be made for you. Like at the end of the day, not everything's going to be made for you. And getting upset and angry over the fact that like, oh, this game isn't hyper toxic or like hyper masculine.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that it's woke, doesn't mean that what it means is that game just might not be the game that you particularly want to play. If you want to play that game, I can promise you if you go on Steam right now, someone's made it. Is it good? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what you signed up for when you have opinions like that.
Yeah.
You know what? You pay for who you are and what you want. And if what you get because the service to those types of people is trash, then maybe look in the mirror.
Yeah.
You might too be trash.
It's also, I feel it's like, what quicker way to show your whole fucking ass than saying a game that's mostly aliens?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is woke garbage. It just, it's kind of comical to me. Like Jake Twitch in the chat. First of all, thanks for being here. First time chatter says, gotta respect that level of hate. Like, as a joke, but like it's goofy. Like it doesn't click for me. It's like I honestly can't comprehend. It's as if they all got in like this secret meeting on fucking Truth Social and we're like, all right guys, flavor of the week, Concord, we all fucking hate it. Here's links to streamers that are doing this. Our talking points, it's there's a woke propaganda, there's an agenda, all these things. It's like it's so fucking goofy, but fuck that.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
I want to say one last piece here is that like I think we've devolved to a point, at least a certain group of people have devolved to a point where you get a game like Stellar Blade, which is 99% fan service, right?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And they still got mad when they didn't feel like the outfits were revealing enough.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it's like, okay, like we're now going past like a part of like any sort of logic here. I might be able to understand where it's like this game, I'm angry because they're not making games like the games that I played as a childhood where every woman, Soul Calibur 2 level armor on women, right? I understand that people hook on certain things. They want to see that kind of stuff later in their life too. I get that. But like when you're devolved to the point that like you are getting full-fledged fan service and it's like we're falling just short of some literal nipple on screen, losing our fucking mind. That we can't get that. Like, guys, I'm gonna break the news. I'm gonna give you a life hack. It's called Pornhub and it's free. Just go wank off to free shit on the internet and leave video games alone. You need both hands to play a video game, guys. Shut the fuck up.
Not entirely true. But fuck them.
Fuck you, Patrick.
I know. I'm an asshole. Back to the game though. Now that we got the elephant in the room out of the way, Jake Twitch in the chat. Clear your minds, gooners.
No.
I just heard. I just came into contact with the terminology of gooning or gooned recently, and now that I've heard it, I'm hearing it everywhere, and I'm kind of obsessed. We got another first time chatter, Savage to Web. I'm probably saying that wrong. Hello team. Hi, GWTMori. Thanks for being here. Mori, though, back to your thoughts on the game and the game in general. I have a question for you from my own experience. One of the things that you really liked about the game is the taking the perks from one character to the next. I didn't understand it for a while, but playing now, like it finally clicked for me this time. I don't know if they like updated like the way it was visualized in the game from the beta to now. Did they?
They did. Yes.
Okay, because I was like, I feel like I never noticed it the first time, but it was very clear this time, which is great. But I don't feel like I've noticed an actual change when I get these perks. And again, that it could totally be me not playing enough of these games, not having enough time with this specific game. But do you feel like it's actually that noticeable taking a perk from one character into the next for you?
Yeah, it's in specific scenarios. Yes. The key thing is that like you have to have a deficiency in a character to see a change when you add the crew bonus, right? So I was actually taking notes yesterday in class, sociology of hip hop. Should I probably have been taking notes about sociology of hip hop? Yeah. Was I writing out strategies for Concord? Yes, I was.
Did they tell you that Ludacris was one of the best rappers out of Atlanta?
Believe it or not, no. We were talking about Afeni Shakur. Ludacris didn't come up.
Whoa.
Yeah. Maybe down the line, but not today. I hope so. But no. And yeah, it's just God hates me, and there it is. Found it.
There it is. We're back.
There it is. Boom. So yeah, the way that I did it was I kind of just tried to build in a way where I found a deficiency. So a clear example would be Vale. Vale, the sniper, who has the one round, has to reload is slow as hell. Takes forever to get that next bullet out. When I used the tactician before I went into Vale, I felt the difference.
Got it.
I mean,
okay.
Yeah, it's punchy, but that's the thing. There has to be a deficiency in a character to really feel that crew bonus shine. Like Itzy, she has that SMG, a lot of recoil, not much range. If you run a ranger into a warden into Itzy, dude, you got range, you got no recoil, you're hitting people cross map with Itzy, and it feels potent. So,
oh wow, okay,
yeah, you got to find efficiency.
Is there? And if you said this in the review, I missed it, and I apologize. Is there a cap for how many perks you can take from one character to the next?
No.
So you can, by the end of the game, you could have all perks
6
available.
Yeah, you can have all 6. Now, I don't. I think I said this in my complaints. I don't feel that most of my kits only require me to get through 3 characters for my crew bonuses.
Interesting. Okay.
And most times, if I'm playing the match well, like I don't even get through my first 3 characters by the end of the match. I usually get stuck at somebody, usually the 2 spot. So yeah, I don't know. It's an amazing system. I wish there was a longer mode that would allow it to shine more.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. That makes sense. So let's talk a little bit about modes. You said they've addressed it in the roadmap. I don't know the roadmap. So if you could enlighten us on what that is, and like, what do you want to see? Like, what kinds of modes do you feel like are missing? Is there anything with the modes currently that you think could be improved upon other than the aforementioned length just now? We know you're a length king. Walk us through that.
Of course. I think, hold on. Season pass. Let me do a breakdown of the season pass first. Not even the season pass, the season releases. So season 1 is going to be coming out in October. It's going to have a new free gunner, new map, new variants, quality of life updates, new cosmetics and rewards, and new vignettes. January, season 2, new free gunner, new map, new mode, new variants, quality of life updates, new cosmetics and rewards, new vignettes. What modes do I think are most like needed? I would love to see some form of a ranked mode. That's the one thing I've heard from every single person that has asked for another mode, that or a payload mode. Now, I understand that this is very different than Overwatch. It's an arena shooter more than anything. I do feel that this game would shine with the payload mode. And I think people want a space where they can compete. They want a space where they can rank up. They want a space where they can prove something. They can be up on a leaderboard. And so I would like to see a world where we see a ranked mode, Payload would be great. And I just want a mode that's longer. Like a lot of these modes are great. Like I love the TDM. Give me a TDM mode that's 60 kills to win, not 30. So you double it, let me really dip into those crew bonuses. Let me take my time with them. I think having some of these modes just expanded a bit to go a little longer would go a long way in highlighting how that crew bonus system really changes the game.
Do you think there could ever be a future where they would, I think it would have to be limited to like new maps that aren't out yet, because all of these maps are built very specifically for these like kind of close quarter encounters. Do you think that there could be a future in which they bring in things like vehicles to get larger maps? I'm thinking of like a Halo as an example of like, so there's those certain maps that like part of the whole thing is there being kind of different arenas and much kind of further apart areas on the map, and the way you get from one to the other quickly is with vehicles. Do you think that's like potentially in the future for Concord or no?
That's such a great question. I think a lot of these characters would shine in what it would be like a big team battle mode. I think some of them wouldn't, like with Star Child shotgun not having enough range. I feel like the moment you open up the map too much, I think a lot of characters become like irrelevant. I don't think that'll happen, but like there's a universe where if these characters were tuned a little bit differently, it could exist. But I don't think we'll see something like that. No.
Gotcha.
Personally. Yeah.
We have a question in the chat. Can a ranked mode be done without SBMM in general? I don't know what SBMM is. Do you know, Mori?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not.
Could you, Savage to Web, could you spell out what you mean by SBMM? Because I'm not catching what you're throwing down. I had one other question that came up and then I distracted myself. Wait, hold on. Skill-based matchmaking. Thank you, Jake Twitchin.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Okay.
Yeah, you would need it to be skill based, because that's how you ensure that you're up against another team that is similar in skill to you. That's the only reason you would feel any satisfaction in winning. So yeah, for a ranked mode, you would need skill-based matchmaking built into that, not built into the base game. I like that it's not built into the base game, but you would need it built into a ranked mode. Yeah. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Hold on. So there's no skill-based matchmaking in Concord currently. Meaning someone like me, who is arguably one of the worst competitive shooter players, is just going to get absolutely raked over the coals constantly, I'm assuming.
This is actually a really interesting part of the title that I didn't even mention in my review, and I now feel shame, but that's why we're having a conversation. Cayman, I love you. The dumpster boy. God. You have to play one-off. He's a trash can. He's a walking trash can. How do we not?
During the beta, I played as I want to say my sidekick. I think the Robin to the dumpster boy is the trash can.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
And so I think I played as him and I was like, I don't understand this at all.
Yeah, I get that. And I'm going to be honest.
So the one thing I noticed, and I want to ask this. So one thing I noticed during the beta was that they did show a lot of things that had like popped up that were like, these will be active in the base game. One of those was a training mode. So I'm assuming in the training mode, that's a good way for you to be able to like play as a character that's not live in match, to kind of get a feel before you go, jump into the deep end.
Totally.
I'm assuming that's what that's going to be based for. So that would obviously learn how to play the trash can in training.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And that's
maybe there's hope for me after all.
There's always hope for you,
Cayman, you're going to be a free gunner if it's the last thing I fucking do. All right. We're going to be there, baby. We gotta get back with Evan, do another 4-man. So yes, no, there is a training mode. There is. And the thing I like about the title, because Cayman, you made such a valid point. You're like, dude, this isn't my type of game. If I go in there, am I just going to get mollywopped every game? And my answer to that is no. I'll explain what I mean. A lot of these characters are designed for entry-level first-person shooter players. One being Lark, one being One-Off. When you understand these kits, which isn't too challenging, you're able to survive even if you're not an FPS person. So Lark has this little grenade launcher, and basically it shoots out these little balls, and they just float in the air toward the enemy. By the way, select a warden, and you can make them go even farther, and you can cook. And once they get far enough, they split off into these little pellets that hunt down the person that you're firing in the general vicinity of. So something like that benefits you, right? There's also this little ability that he has where he can drop it near a healing pod. And then if you're in a bad situation, you're getting shot up, click that ability again, you're going to spawn on that healing pad and you didn't even have to die. So you have a character designed like that to kind of bring people who don't play first-person shooters a lot into the title and not feel too overwhelmed. So
gotcha. Do we feel like Sony has done a good job on conveying that, or Fire? I mean, I would put this more on Sony than Firewatch at this point. But like, do we think that Sony's done a good enough job to say, hey, this, come play our game. We promise everyone can play this. We can, or because the way it feels to me from what I've seen is it does feel a little bit like that it kind of is coming across like an Overwatch scenario where it's like, if you're not good at this or you've never played one before, you're not going to have a good time doing this. And I just, for me, from what I've seen, but maybe you guys think differently based on what you've seen, but do you think they've done a good job selling that to new players?
I personally don't. Yeah. But I also don't. It's weird. Like, so when to, peek behind the curtain kind of thing, when I was talking to Mori about coming on the show, he was kind of looping me in on some of the, like what we talked about a few minutes ago, like the discourse, capital D, around Concord. I hadn't seen a lick of it, but once I started watching his stream, once I started like getting, like, we got a few followers today by way of Mori who are in the Concord community. So now, like, my For You page on Twitter is starting to bring in more Concord conversation, and I'm already seeing that it is like a fucking cesspool. And so, so for me, as someone who just was completely out of the loop on it until 5 hours ago, I feel like they've done a very bad job of getting it to a point for someone like me, for someone like you came in, who this isn't our type of game. We'll talk about the types of game we play when we're done with this review here in a bit. I didn't feel the invite per se to come play. It was Mori that made me feel like I want to give this game a shot. And I did. And I'm glad that I did, because I had a lot of fun right before. And I want to play after we're done streaming this podcast, because I had a good time. And I actually felt, unlike how I did in the beta, even though my stats are shit, your little like player card where you can edit like what's in each corner, I have edited it to where on both corners it shows my number of wins, because I'm still at 0, and I just thought that was very funny, because I'm still not good at the game, but I am having fun. And I don't feel like I am the reason we're losing. Like, one game we lost 30-29. It was a nail biter, folks. But yeah, Maury, do you agree though? Do you feel like PlayStation's not doing a good job of kind of opening up the doors and inviting people to come and feel like they won't have a shit time if they come?
See, that's the challenge. It's like when you look at what PlayStation has built their brand off of in the last decade, the last time that we saw a shooter from a PlayStation first-party studio was Killzone Shadowfall at the launch of the PlayStation 4. So when you look at the identity that they've built, they've kind of cut off that community. And so the question is now, your base is all single-player narrative adventure players. And that's really your base that you need to tap into. And I don't feel that they've done an adequate job of reaching those players and saying, hey, this game is accessible. It's not going to be like your narrative adventure, but it has the same quality of polish. It has the same... Does. It's so polished. This game is so polished. It's really impressive. But like, no, they've not. I've seen personal developers from their personal Twitters tweeting out about how Lark is accessible or One-Off is accessible. And I love that. And I try to retweet that whenever I can. But those personal developers have 300-400 followers.
Sure.
Right. So no, I don't think they've done a good job of like appealing to the fact that the Sony base, the PlayStation base, are people who almost exclusively play single player titles, because that was the precedent set in 2013 when Shadowfall was the last first person shooter.
That's a really good point. I hadn't thought about it in that way. And because State of Plays happen, Nintendo Directs happen, Xbox developer _ directs happen, and the multiplayer games come on, and I glaze over, because it's just not, these aren't the games that excite me in the art form. And so, part of it also could be on me of like, I'm not necessarily interested in the message, because it's just not the kind of game I prefer. But yeah, I do think there is something to be said. I think you're right on the money there, Maury, of it kind of feels like maybe they need to relearn how to market this kind of game, because you could say Destiny, but they only got Bungie a couple years ago. Like that's been Bungie's game for the vast majority of the life cycle of that game. PlayStation really hasn't done anything other than, lay off a fuck ton of people. So that's a really good point.
I do think too, like, I do wonder, like, if Sony does see this as almost like a lost cause. And I say that by, like, just the way the reaction was. I mean, just on Twitter alone. One, you're fighting an uphill battle, I think, with a game like this, or really at this point, any game. And it makes you wonder. And when I say that, I mean, one, you're going to be fighting, the fanboys of other consoles, or whether it's PC or Xbox, Nintendo,
or the Sega Dreamcast,
or the Sega Dream, those motherfuckers. Then those people are going to just shit on it because, that's just how console wars go. So that's just how that is. Then the other side is you do have the people we've mentioned before, who are the ones who are just awful and are the ones going around screaming that this is woke garbage. And if you play it, you should be, I don't know, like curb stomped. I don't know what do people say? I don't know, Twitter. Probably, and that's fine on Twitter. No more hate speech on Twitter. So I do wonder if Sony looks at this and is like, there's nothing we can do to try to market it to a new group of people, because that marketing campaign is going to be so overridden with bots and gross people that our message is going to be like, if you enter the comment section at all, like, you're just going to be ruined. And like, if Sony sees that and is like, well, you know what? There's no way we can convince, like, we can't fight the people who are complaining about these things. Like, I don't know. It's just feels kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of scenario. Like, you're going to be doing that. I do think, Maury, you'd mentioned before, like a free to play weekend in a couple months, I think would be super helpful. In doing that, and maybe having, like, bringing on streamers or something to be like, someone like Khalif, or, whoever it is, right? Jake Bondino over at Game Ranks. Just bring them on to, like, do some sort of showcase or something to try to bring in that audience. Be like, oh, maybe it's not as bad, or maybe it's not as woke as the person in the Twitter comments whose name violates literally every single clause in the National Geneva Convention. That guy, maybe his opinion's not okay.
Right. And I think my last thing about Concord is just it's kind of relating to what you said, Patrick, about was Sony, did they do a good job of marketing this title? I think Sony has been so disconnected from the shooter market, let alone an arena shooter, let alone a hero shooter. They've never done that before for so long, that I understand that Sony has been quiet this generation. They've started to not announce games until 3 months before they come out. They've started to not show them off until a month before they come out. That's the approach that they've taken. I get it. I think with a title like this, they could have really benefited from a year before launch, showing it at that state of play and saying, hey, we're going to do a closed alpha, then a closed beta, then an open beta, and then you give people a year to acclimate to it. I don't think the best way to have shown off this game was to have shown off that cinematic over a year ago now, and then month and a half ago, show off the gameplay and just say, and now we have a beta, and you have a month to decide whether or not this is a Sony IP that you want to engage with.
Sure.
I think they could have benefited from just spacing it out more. And I know that that's not their approach this generation, but that could have helped this game.
I'm super interested to see, with football season starting next week for the NFL, if Thursday Night Football, Monday Night Football, if we're going to see in prime time, like a Concord trailer, because I think it's a safe assumption to say there's a big overlap in audience for multiplayer shooters in, like, the NFL. Like, I feel like I'm seeing Call of Duty ads all the time. I'm seeing Overwatch ads all the time when I'm watching football. So I feel like that could also be a marker of, like, are they putting the money into Concord? Because I feel like with a new IP in what I think could also be easily characterized as an oversaturated genre, you need money to get this in front of people and to convince people to give you money, you being Sony. So it's tough, but I do think, I'm not necessarily interested in talking about should this have been free to play, because I don't think it should have been free to play, but I do think with the $40 price tag, you need to put the money into marketing it and convincing people that this is worth the $40. But
agreed.
Any last final thoughts from you, Maury, before we move on to the next games that we're going to talk about?
Just, I love Concord. Really proud of Firewalk Studios and everything that they did. They've had a really brutal week, and they've handled it with so much grace and maturity, and they've been so kind to anybody who has been supporting their game, and I'm wishing them the best, and I think we're going to be all right.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, I don't know if we have any mods here right now, but I do want I laughed at looking over because I'm not very smart with Twitch still. But the system tried to stop Savage to Web from getting the message mods. Can you erase this French? Because they thought erase this French was like a threat. It's like, oh my God.
Absolutely fantastic.
Really, really funny. But before we move on, so let's see. So Savage Web has sent in a few things. So talking about the lore is deep, which I was fucking around with the little lore section earlier, which I thought was really cool and really satisfying. Of like the way it almost felt like a game in and of itself. Of like, ooh, there's a bubble over here. I got to go press that bubble. Now I got to go press that bubble. But let's see. They putting a lot of a whole universe that they want to highlight, they said, and want to use this to distinguish themselves from another FPS and come up with a brand new offer. $40 all inclusive, like Helldivers 2, but even better in future editions is all free. That's also exciting that everything moving forward is going to be free. Yeah. I'm sure we're going to be talking about this game a lot more in the coming weeks and months, and I'm sure more that you're going to be back on at some point. But we have been playing some other games, and we're going to pivot to those now for the rest of the show. Cayman, as someone who didn't get to chime in as much on Concord, I would love to start with you so we can hear a little bit of what the dumpster boy has been playing since, because I think it's been, I might be misremembering, but I think it's been 3 weeks since we talked about what we're playing.
It's been like 3 weeks. Yeah.
Because I was gone, and then last week was the JK Games extravaganza with Coggy Boy Cognitive Clips in the chat. So it's been a while.
A lot. There's been a lot that's happened in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Especially my back catalog.
So talk to me.
All right, fine. Where do you want to start, Patrick?
Let's start with Cat Quest.
Cue me up with Cat Quest, baby. All right, so Cat Quest 3. I've talked about this on the show quite a bit. Just how much I love Cat Quest. Cat Quest 1, fantastic games, very simple. So if you go, I would always say start with Cat Quest 1, just work up. It's simple, it's easy. Fun platinum, about 5 to 10 hours. Cat Quest 2 is where things I think really started to kick off. Cat Quest 2 introduced co-op mode, which I think a game like this, like couch co-op, is perfect for. It's essentially it's like a hack and slash RPG with a loot system where you're going to collect loot. You're going to level up. There's magic abilities. So the first game is just, you have magic abilities and you have like swords, right? Swords, axes, whatever. Then as you level up, there's very minimal leveling up system. There's no skill trees, things like that. Cat Quest 2 reintroduces back co-op mode again. However, this time we're not set in like the medieval times like the first games. This time we're pirates, which I think was a fantastic choice. I don't think we see really a lot of this outside of like Assassin's Creed and whatever the fuck, anything coming out of the Ubisoft, basically. That's the only people I think that make pirate games outside of Rare, who did Sea of Thieves. So whatever. Either way, Cat Quest 3, you play as pirates, couch co-op, fantastic. Game's still roughly about the same, about 5 to 10 hours. It took us 15 to get the platinum. Mainly because we accidentally went into New Game Plus and erased our previous save doing so. Totally fine, though. It was an absolute blast to play the game. The combat system is just so much fun that like going back and replaying everything again. And on top of that, I think the other big thing about Cat Quest is that the loot system and you have guns, you got swords and whatnot like normal. But you also have magic abilities as well. So you got like a whole gamut of random stuff. You can really like customize your build. I feel like this has like a super in-depth like build system of like what you want your character to be. And so my character just had like a bunch of perks that were like, if I'm healing, I'm doing damage while I heal. If I do damage, I heal. And then I leech life. And so like my entire build was just to be constantly healing and doing damage at the same time, to the point that I was an absolute wrecking ball that just went through. And the thing is, in New Game Plus, there's no level cap. I don't even know what the level cap is in the game. We got up to like 175 in New Game Plus. We were doing so much damage that it was just like one-shotting bosses that we were like having to retry multiple times in the first playthrough. It was an absolute blast. My wife and I, we platinumed it together just like we platinumed Cat Quest 2. This game holds, like, this series holds a very special place in my heart. I think it's like $20 right now, and it's on everything. So you can even play it on Switch too. I would definitely say, like, go get Cat Quest 2. Play it with someone on the couch with you. I think that's the only way you can play it. I don't know if there's online co-op, but like get someone, your spouse, a friend, your kid, whatever it is you do. Just pop down Cat Quest 2. Enjoy it. You can probably get it right now for like $5. Then turn around, get Cat Quest 3 immediately, because it is just a fantastic game. I loved every single minute of it. And they set up for a 4th game in the series. Seems like it might be the last in the series. So I'm very nervous. I'm excited to see. Patrick, you are on mute.
God damn it. I'm an embarrassment to
I was watching you talk that whole time, and then I was just like, I'll let him say his piece after. But yeah,
it's a good thing I was muted, because I was saying some raunchy stuff. I have a couple questions for you, Cam.
Yeah.
First and foremost, you said that Cat Quest 4 likely, with the way that this one ended. Do we think we're going to jump ahead again in time in terms of the setting? Do we think they're like the 4 could be set to like late 60s, early 70s, like Vietnam protests? Like what's a setting that you think might make sense here?
Oh, what's a setting that might make sense here? Honestly, I think they could probably stay in the same vein. There's a lot of callbacks to the previous games, and it makes it seem like the 4th game might like have converging timelines.
Oh, let's go.
So I think whatever that sets up to be, it really just depends. It could be flip-flopping between timelines. I mean, they're low budget games, so I don't think they'll probably go that far. But I would love to see Cat Quest in space. I think that would be like super cool, where like on the map you get into like a hover ship or something, you know. That would be really cool. But hell, if they came back, we're like, we're just doing pirates again, I'd be like, fuck yeah, man.
I would trust.
I don't even care.
I would trust Cat Quest to go into space before I would trust Fast and Furious, because they fucking shit the bed going to space, if you ask me.
Did they finally go to? Did they go to space finally?
Well, they did.
They did?
I avoided that movie at all costs. I was terrified.
It was bad. I love those movies.
Same.
And it was bad. But my other question came in is, you know, I definitely plan on playing this game. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Are you willing and ready to give it a score on the kind of funny scale? I almost said. I was looking at the kind of funny.
Oh yeah. This is a 5 out of 5 on the golden shovels, guys.
Let's go.
5
no
out of 5
way.
golden shovels. Yeah, this is
a masterpiece.
This is an easy one, and it's not a masterpiece. 5 out of 5 for me. Okay. Probably to someone else like 4.5, probably 4.5 to someone else. Whatever. Whatever. Who fucking cares about scores? What I'm going to tell you is, one,
a lot of fucking people.
That's fair. What I'm saying, what I'm saying here is, like, one, tell me the last game that you know of that's not Lego that was a couch co-op game.
Sure.
Okay. That alone, I think, is a big deal. But the game, like, you could ride your coattails by being like, well, there's no more games like this. You got to play this if you want to play this game, like, you know, game. But I think the thing is, like, this game is very good. And I think that a lot of people will really enjoy it. And I think that it's one of those, it's a low price point. It's easy to get into. There's not a lot of hubbub about it. And if you want to like 100% the game or get the platinum on it, it's, you know, you're looking to put in about 15 hours, give or take. Cool.
Yeah, I platinum the first one. I need to platinum the second one, but I'll probably play the third one before I do that.
What is the price point of Cat Quest 3?
$20.
$20.
That's awesome.
$20.
Easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Easy money to put down. Money to put down.
Yeah.
This is a weekend type game where you start on a Friday, you end Sunday night kind of situation with a significant other or a kid or your friend.
It could be anybody.
Could be anybody. Could be your grandpa.
Sure. Well, I don't have access to either of them. They're both in the ground.
Me too.
But, yeah, we're working on it.
We're working on it.
Boys, I have a few games that I can talk about as well. I'm going to take the reins here for one of my own, but I want to let you pick between a very new game, a game from earlier this year that I've talked about once before, but I'm back playing, or a game from like 20 years ago.
I'm going to go mid-game.
Mid-game. So I have gotten back deep into Final Fantasy VII.
Wow.
Good deal.
I started Final Fantasy VII Rebirth when it first launched, and I forget exactly. I feel like something else came around, and like I kind of got distracted. But then my PlayStation 5 died. Talked about it on the show before. If you listen every week, you've heard me say that before. And so I lost access to the PlayStation for like a month, and then by the time I got it back, I just didn't give a shit about these characters, this world anymore, because also I never played the original Final Fantasy VII, but I did play the remake a few years ago. But I was like, the other day, I was just in a bit of a slump. Like I couldn't figure out what I wanted to play. Nothing was quite like I had a lot of fun playing Flintlock on the Xbox on Game Pass, but it's just not the kind of game that I necessarily wanted to roll credits on. Like I really enjoyed my time, but I had enough of it. I'm ready to move on. And like I played a couple little games on stream, one of which I will talk about as well on my next go around, my next turn. But I was like, you know what? I want to get back into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and see, because I want to finish it by the end of the year, because a lot of people have this at the Game of the Year conversation. And, you know, speaking of polish, like this game is just polished head to fucking toe. And it really, really got me back in deep this time. Like I think when I started back up, I was like maybe in chapter like 5-ish. I'm in chapter 11 now. Like I kind of can't stop playing the game. I really want to finish playing it before, or rather I wanted to finish playing it before Outlaws comes out, but I don't know anymore if Outlaws is going to be a day one for me based on the reviews this week. It still might be. I do kind of want to be my own judge for it. But I might not necessarily try to rush through the last few chapters of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because of that reason. But yeah, man, I mean, it's the kind of game like where it sings, it also kind of suffers, in my opinion, and that this game is just so big. There's so much to do in this game to where, so like I think I'm in my 5th or 6th like continent essentially of the map of the world, and the first I think 3 100% it. I did everything that I could do. I found all of the caches. I fought all of the random like mini bosses. I uncovered certain secrets. I did, you know, the 25 to 30 little check marks that they want you to do in each world. And then now the one I'm at now, the last 2, I've done like 2 things, because it's just I'm just so overwhelmed by the sheer amount of stuff. And not only that, but they are constantly introducing new mechanics. It's fucking crazy to me how big this game is. Like I'm playing and I get to this point in the open world where it's like a whole new set of tutorials come up, and it's like now it's teaching me this whole new mini game of like, it's like I don't even know how to describe it, but it's like a board game. It's not Queen's Blood. Everyone knows about Queen's Blood. That's played the game. It's a different thing much later in the game. And I'm like, can we just not maybe like, can I just play the game and not at every turn be introduced to a new mini game of this game? But it's like, it's a good, I think, issue to have with it, because there's just so much shit here. Right. But it's the kind of thing where like now I'm at the point where I'm just 100% mainlining the game. Yep. Like I just main quest. I'm doing as little extra stuff as possible. Really, the only extra stuff I'm doing at this point is the stuff required to unlock the summons throughout the game. Past that, I'm like, side quest means nothing to me anymore. I'm not helping you find your chocobo, sir. I don't have the time. Thank you. Good night.
The world is about to end. I don't have time to find your chocobo, sir.
Yeah. And part of the reason I got to that point is because the day, for those of you that know the lore, the day that I had my Instagram and Facebook taken from me, I weirdly also lost like 3.5 hours of progress in this game. And those 3.5 hours of progress, it was a stupid, weird glitch thing that I think was my own fault, was all side quest content. And so I was like, oh, Great. And I'm actually never doing any of it ever again because now that I lost those 3 hours, I'm certainly not doing those 3 hours again.
No.
So now I'm just doubling down and it's like main for the rest of the time. But yeah, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, really good game. I don't know that it's going to be in my short list per se because of those issues that I was just kind of screaming about in the game. But it's really good. If you like Final Fantasy, if you like big open worlds with a fuck ton of polish and really fun combat, if you haven't already played it, you're going to like this game. Mori, is there anything on your docket that's not Concord that you've been playing?
Like a week ago, I did Unpacking, small indie game.
Oh, hell yeah. Love Unpacking.
So good, dude. They do such a great job with visual storytelling there. I was not expecting. I went for the platinum. I was not expecting to tear up. I teared up.
Yeah.
I teared up. I felt it. It was like, oh, damn, that was great. That was really
tearjerker.
Oh, dude, it got me.
It's such a good game.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did not expect that going in. But like so often when I go for those indies, those 2-3 hour indies for the platinum, every single time, I get mopped. It was the same thing with Venba. Venba mopped the floor with me. Oh, chef's kiss. That was one of the first ways me and Patrick connected.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. What's up, buddy? We made it. We made it.
Look at us.
Dude, Rebirth, I just had to say, I wanted to play so bad. It was so massive. I was terrified.
It's
Everything
so
you just
big.
said, dude, that's why I didn't buy it. It's so big.
I do this thing sometimes. I'm curious if either of you ever do this, especially with a big game like this, where I'll go to YouTube and look at one of those videos that's like the full play.
Full game.
I'll scrub to see where I am and just see generally. I play games different than people. I normally, like if I look out at howlongtobeat.com and it says the game's going to be beaten in 30 hours, it's going to be 40 for me. That's just how, like, I just take more time with games. And also I have this really weird thing I think I've talked about with Final Fantasy where, and it's like, maybe I should take it as a sign that I'm not, like I should listen to myself and be like, maybe like I am not as interested in this game as I think. There are times where I will just let the game sit for like an hour straight because I'm like, I'm a little bored. I'm going to check my phone. And then I'm just scrolling for like an hour. I'm like, I think that's a sign that I should maybe stop playing the game, but I continue playing the game. I went to a video and it said on that thing is like 15 more hours from where I am. And I'm like, I'm already 65 hours in this game, which is like, pretty standard for this type of game. But I'm like, I really felt like I had like 5 max. So now knowing that I probably have like 20, if they're saying 15 is like, oh boy, that is a lot.
It reminds me of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, where I've unlocked the second continent in like 70 hours and was like, nope, not doing this anymore. I'm moving on with my life.
Yeah. Well, moving on with your life.
Speaking of time sinks, Patrick.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it, baby.
We talking Nexomon?
We're fucking talking Nexomon.
Let's go.
Okay. So as you guys know, for the last few weeks, I've been doing this segment called Dumpster Boys Dumpster Dives, where I go and find games that, well, this isn't the right Nexomon. It's a different Nexomon.
Oh, fuck me.
You fucking nerd. It's fine.
I'm such an idiot.
The same gist here. The other ones don't move. Actually, you know what? Maybe it's the same map too. Anyway, they don't move. Fuck it. Who cares? Funny. We're going to talk Nexomon, right? Okay. So Nexomon, I've saw it. I don't play Pokemon ripoff games. This is not my thing. Pokemon is the best. That's what I play. No need to play any other Pokemon ripoff games. But I felt like for Dumpster Boys Dumpster Dives, it's been giving me a great opportunity to try out genres and types of games I don't normally play. And so I found this game called Nexomon for $2 on a PlayStation. It was like PlayStation's August sale. $2. Okay. Here's the thing in Nexomon. I'd use a goddamn spreadsheet. Okay. I use a fucking spreadsheet.
That's some PC game bullshit.
Right. So what happens is I'm playing the game and the main story is about 10 to 15 hours, give or take, to beat it. Probably around 10 hours to beat the main story.
Yeah.
Honestly, the story is like a fucking JRPG. You kill God in the story.
Yep.
Like, it is wild. And they even make it's super meta as well. So I think like this game actually is kind of great is because it's super meta. It'll say things like, hey, we can't actually do this because if we do, then we're not going to be able to get an E rating, guys. Like the game says that.
Amazing.
And there's moments where like the character will like do like a spin move when he gets a new item, and everyone will be like, "What the fuck is he doing? Like, why is he spinning?" Everyone makes fun of the main character for doing stupid video game shit, and they make a ton of like references like that. So either way, you get the main story, about 10, 15 hours. Then you have your post-game story. Post-game story requires you to basically explore the world, take on even harder monsters. You have like a second dimension where you're in a dream because you've been trapped because
not the dream world.
it is so JRPG. It's ridiculous at times. So that's probably another 5 to 10 hours. So now you're looking at about 20 to 25 hours. Now, trophy guide says you beat the game, platinum the game, 20 hours. Took me 40 fucking hours. I had to create a spreadsheet because the one downside is this feels very much like Red and Blue Pokemon, where the mechanics are very simple. A lot of the UI is very simple. And that is the detriment here, is that like I can't go in and see out of a list like my Pokédex how many I still have remaining to catch.
Yeah.
Or like what I need to catch. It's just not there.
Did you have to catch all of them?
So you can evolve, and that's the trick to this, is that you need to go back in and start evolving them, and there's ways to do it in certain things. So I basically started to strategize. I put more brain power into figuring out how to platinum this game than probably I did during Skyrim, specifically for everyone in the know. The Thieves Guild requires you to literally like, you can't do anything but sell every single item. You can't sell certain items. You have to hold certain. There's like a whole hierarchy of like how you do the Skyrim Platinum that was a metagame in and of itself, which I thought was great. This game, to a degree, also kind of like that. Took me about 40 hours in a fucking spreadsheet, but I actually platinumed Nexomon. Will I platinum the sequel? I don't know if I'm going to play the sequel at all.
Yeah, you will.
I don't know. I think that the game, for those of you who are like, I want a top-down asymmetric Pokemon, and I don't really care too much about all the frills and bullshit of like the Pokemon now has with like the babies and like all that stuff. You just want a fucking Pokemon game.
Yeah, you don't want none of that woke propaganda bullshit.
None of it.
Right.
None of it.
You don't want any of that. Then honestly, I think Nexomon's like a great substitute. I think especially picking up for $2, like great game to throw in front of a kid, let him have fun, do it. It's on everything, I believe. Platinum, I definitely don't recommend getting the Platinum. I do think that is way too far removed from this. But I do think it's still a fun game. I would give it a solid 3 out of 5 golden shovels. A Platinum, on the other hand, solid 0.5 out of 5 golden shovels. Yeah.
Let's fucking go.
Right.
We bring the heat right here on Spotlight Games.
I do. Look, the dumpster dive. I unravel and play games you've never heard about before and tell you whether it's not worth playing. And that one, I think, if you like Pokemon, you should play Nexomon.
Well, we're going to have one more dumpster dive after I talk about what is, I think, going to be in my shortlist for Game of the Year. And that's Thank Goodness You're Here. If you don't know this game, this is from the folks that made Untitled Goose Game. It is, we streamed it a couple weeks ago, myself and Rose. I think we're going to stream us finishing the game because it's pretty short. It's like 3 or 4 hours long in total. And this game is just such a fucking delight. It is easily the funniest game I've ever played in my life. Like it had us laughing out loud consistently throughout the whole thing. The general premise is kind of like, it's kind of hard to explain because you're just like this little guy just like doing stuff. But you're like, it's very much like Untitled Goose Game where you're set in this space and you just kind of walk around and get into shit. And as you go through, you'll kind of uncover certain like things that want you to do. Certain NPCs will give you like mini quests to go like, oh, I need you to do this. Go find the thing. And then in order to find the thing, you got to kind of get into another quest with another NPC. But the kind of the special sauce of this game compared to Untitled Goose Game is that it is just British as fuck. Like so much weird, weird to Americans, British lingo, a lot of like Cockney rhyme. I forget, what is it called? Cockney rhyme slang. Like there's so much just weird fucking stuff in this game that is just so funny. a lot of like weird physical humor, a lot of just like really goofy stuff. And also the character model is so goofy and so small compared to the rest of the world. But the one mechanic that you have in this game is to slap things. So you'll just go up and so you kind of get to a point where you're just running around the world, just slapping every single thing that you can to see if you can interact with it. Sometimes you're like slapping someone's ass. Sometimes you're slapping just like the legs of a table to knock it down. Like you see that in one of the bits of the trailer here. Like it is just so unlike anything that I've ever played. And I've said it before a handful of times here. Like I love those kinds of games where I roll credits and I can definitively say I've never played a game like that before. And I think the charm of this one in particular, because we've all played games like we've never played before that are also shit. It just so happens that this game is also really fucking good. Like it, if you love like an action filled game, this is not the game for you, but it's pretty light on narrative too, but it's still, I think, worth playing if you like narrative focused games, because it is still very much about like the vibe that this game is kind of presenting to you. And it also does a really funny thing, going back to the it's British as fuck of it all. At the beginning of the game, it asks you a question that if you don't understand the question, it turns on subtitles for you, because it's asking you a question and like really, it's like the words are just really like deep cut British words. I don't even remember what the phrase is, but Rose and I read it and we were like, no clue what it's asking. So we click it and it like changed, and then it changes some of the words in the subtitles to you to know what the slang means, which also helps with like the jokes to know like, oh, I see what they're saying. That word means pedophile. Like those things are really helpful with the game. But it's really, really, really fun and funny and worth playing. So yeah, is this on either of y'all's radar? Do you think
it is? It's on mine. I'm just waiting a little bit, I guess, to play it. I think I got to get Concord first, though. I think that's the problem here.
Sure. I mean,
let's go.
This is
true.
Let's
go. Dude, it wasn't on my radar. Now it is. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds amazing.
It's so good.
Mori, I'm so glad to say this. I think I got another game that's going to make it on your radar, buddy.
What?
I do indeed. The last game that I've got for you is going to be a boomer shooter. Papa Bear over here is in his boomer shooter era right now. Oddly enough, it's the people out there that are like diehard boomer shooter fans fucking hate me for saying this. The reason I think of this unlocked in me was playing Immortals of Avium. Because though it's more arena shooter, there is still a lot of DNA to boomer shooters to it. And I have just like really, for some reason, really gotten into like boomer shooters lately. So I've been playing Proteus. It's on PlayStation Plus right now in the catalog. This is a very traditional boomer shooter, feels a lot like the original Doom. It is a lot more cleaned up. So you do... It visually, I think, looks better than Doom did when it first launched. A more clean presentation. It is so fucking gory.
It looks cool.
The cool thing to me, what I love about it, is the way that they actually incorporate the usage of blood. Is it's a marker for these maps to be able to be like, I've been here before.
Oh, that's fun.
So like, that they've done like a really good job, I think, in this game of like really working it. There is a multiplayer mode that I haven't tried out yet. So just throwing that out there, guys. Would be down to clown. And co-op. You can play this game in co-op, online co-op. So you can do that as well. Game's super fucking fun. If you like boomer shooters, if you like really, really fast-paced gun combat where if you stop for a second, you're dead, Proteus is for you. I rolled credits earlier today. Gotta say, a little disappointed. I felt like the climax was a bit anticlimactic, which was a bit disappointing. I didn't feel like there was like this big... It sets up for like a second game. Whether we'll get one or not, who knows? But I do think I really enjoyed it. I'm going to go back now. I've got 3 trophies that will determine whether or not I platinum this game. One is to beat an entire ultra difficult like the levels called like the difficulty is called ultra difficulty. It's like the highest level out of like 7. And I tried it on my first level. I was like, I'm just gonna give it a shot, see how hard it is. It's fucking brutal. So
are you able to do co-op? Are you able to do co-op for it?
You are able to do co-op, so that might, but you can't die. So that's kind of, so there's some catch to that. I'm gonna kind of figure it out. But there's that one. There's another trophy is to beat a level without killing a single enemy. And then there's a trophy for going an entire level without taking a single hit point.
Oh boy,
of damage.
That seems really difficult in a game
so,
like that.
Those are going to be the 3 trophies that determine whether or not I platinum it. If I can get past these trophies, this should be a pretty easy plat for me. Really excited though. I'm just excited to go back in and replay the game from start to finish again. Because it is so much fun. Like it is that cathartic feeling. Levels take 10 minutes to complete on average. There's so many different secret hidden areas like the old Doom games or Duke Nukem games. It just feels and it plays really fucking well. I give it 4 out of 5 golden shovels. Definitely think if you like boomer shooters or first person shooters, probably more so if you like boomer shooters, because I do think there is a hard disconnect from like a game like Concord and a traditional boomer shooter. So like maybe if you dig it, but it's on PlayStation catalog right now. So if you got PlayStation, you can try it. It's like a gigabyte. So like you can literally have it downloaded almost instantaneous at this point.
Cool.
Give it a shot. See if you like it. There's a bunch of really good boomer shooters out there right now. Warhammer has one, Warhammer 40,000 or Warhammer 40K bolt gun came out recently. If you're on PC, there's a bajillion boomer shooters on PC. But even on consoles, and a lot of people decry it, saying that it should be played with a mouse and keyboard. Get fucked. If it plays on a console, I'll play it on a console. I'm not doing my taxes over here. I'm killing some demons.
Did you say Warhammer or Borehammer?
Oh no! Don't do this again! Don't do this again! You did this the other day, bro. No, Space Marine 2 is going to be.
Space Marine 2 is going to be fucking wild.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. I also wanted to say, dude, Cayman, I'm so happy you brought up Proteus, because when we got off the pod, I was going to ask you anyway, because every time I get on PlayStation, I've seen you were playing that, and I'm like, what the hell is Proteus?
Dude, fucking great, man. Play it.
Made it for the dumpster dive. Let's go.
Dude,
Let's go.
Yeah, so those are my 3 dumpster dives. There are a few more games that I've played. If you want to see some reviews, specifically one about a game called Poopy Time, let me tell you, jump on over to our Discord. I post all of my dumpster dive reviews on Discord. You can see it there. It's Spotlight Games Pod Discord channel. Come join it anyway. It's a great time, but you can find some other reviews. I've got a few other games that I'm not covering this week that are there, but enjoy Proteus. It's great. Patrick, I'm beyond excited. Been waiting this whole episode to talk about this last game.
Yeah. I'll be brief here because this game was released 19 years ago. So definitely not super relevant today. But the truth is, I've been playing a game that has probably been name dropped on this podcast before. I would think, if not this specific one, it's prequel. But we went to New York a few weeks ago, and I was like, you know what? I have so many different ROMs allegedly on my Steam Deck. I want to dive into one of these games and really enjoy a little trip down memory lane. And boys, I've been playing so much X-Men Legends 2 Rise of Apocalypse.
What?
I played this game so much as a kid, both X-Men Legends 1 and 2, and then Marvel Ultimate Alliance on 360. And I know we got a Marvel Ultimate Alliance on the Switch a few years back, but we need more games like this, man. I am having genuinely one of like my favorite gaming experiences this year playing this game right now. It's just so much fucking fun with the isometric. I got a team of 4 X-Men, and they've sprinkled in a few non-X-Men in this game. I'm just running around environments, breaking open fucking crates, getting health packs, and fighting the most obscure fucking X-Men villains that are in the canon, having the time of my life trying to figure out why Apocalypse again is trying to fucking get rid of all the humans or whatever.
Remind me, Patrick, is this is Brotherhood 2? Is this the is arcade one of the levels in this one?
If it is, I've not gotten to that one yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time in the jungles with Khazar.
Yeah.
I've been in all sorts of different like mines underground with spiders. I've been doing all sorts of crazy shit. I spent some time in Russia, but I haven't been into an arcade yet. But yeah, I've been having such a good time with X-Men Legends 2, and I really hope that we come back to this at some point, because
Right.
I was looking through while you were talking about Proteus at some Google reviews to see if there's any fun old reviews to bring up. Nothing of note, but someone did remind me that this game ends on like a crazy cliffhanger and we never got an X-Men Legends 3. So like, is now the time. They're bringing back fucking backyard baseball, which
They are.
could have been a whole topic of the show. If they're bringing back Pablo Sanchez and backyard baseball, we can bring back X-Men Legends.
We can bring it back.
Fucking bring it back.
They brought back X-Men. They brought back X-Men 97. Bring back another X-Men property. Why not? Like,
why not?
That show ended in the 90s. Pick up his name. Do a third.
Amen.
Do a third. I don't know.
I feel like this type of game is completely gone nowadays. Like, with the one exception of Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, which came out like 6 years ago ish and was pretty mid, but like is the first game of this type in a long time then. So it's like, of course they're not going to come out and do a 10 their first fucking try. So I would love to go back to this genre at some point, because they're just so much fun. And like, being on the Steam Deck, I don't necessarily think I have a way to play multiplayer, but like if they threw this on like Nintendo Online and let you play fucking online co-op for a game like this, oh my God, that'd be so good. So yeah, is my game of the year gonna be X-Men Legends 2: Rise of Apocalypse? Maybe.
I better hope so.
Maybe. But hey, that's our show, folks. A lot to report this year. A thick, beefy 81 minutes of games that we were talking about. But Mori, it feels like you've been here for years. Love bringing you on the show. Thanks for coming by and giving us the good word on Concord. Where can folks find you? Where can they see you streaming said Concord? Give them everything that you want to give them.
Of course. Guys, it's always great to be on the show. This is now the second time, and this is like my favorite place to go. I just got to say that. Thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me yap about Concord, folks. If you want to see me stream Concord, twitch.tv/ or / whichever slash it is, GWTMori, and everything else is GWTMori. That's Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, GWTMori. It's all one thing. Unlike Patrick, who's P-Schwag on Twitch and P-Schwussy on Instagram. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm sorry, Pat. I'm sorry. Dude, they did you dirty.
I'm wondering, like, do I just need to rebrand? Do I just need to be P-Schwussy everywhere?
You do.
I think I might need to.
It's got a nice ring to it.
It does.
It's got a great ring to it.
It does. Kamen, where can the folks follow you?
You can follow me at the Dumpster Boy on Twitter. Go ahead and tell you now, I've an episode out. I just guest starred in an episode of the Never Ending Podcast. You can find that episode's out today. It's a thick boy, where we discuss ad nauseum all about Alien Romulus. So if you want to hear me wax poetic about Fede Alvarez's career as a guy who can make really good remakes and how Alien rules, then go on over, like I said, in the Never Ending Podcast. You can find it. Episodes out today. You'll be able to find that there. But yeah, very exciting stuff. Go listen to me talk about that movie.
Hell yeah. You can follow me on Twitter at Patrick Schwag, Instagram at P-Schwussy. I really gotta synergize. You're right.
Synergize, Patrick.
But you can follow the pod at Spot Games Pod on Twitter, and everywhere else is Spotlight Games Pod. That's right here on Twitch. That's YouTube. That's Instagram. That is TikTok. Shout out again to Mori for being here. We will be back tomorrow night with a Spotlight Games stream. And hey, you never know. You might be seeing one of these three gentlemen on a Spotlight Game stream in the future. You never know. But things are maybe happening in back doors, in my back door, if you know what I'm saying. Shout out to Bennett UA in the chat who gave Mori a follow. Shout out to Jake Twitchin for being here, and so many other folks. A lot of first-time chatters today. Thanks for being here. Also, our sweet Kagi boy. I hope you feel better. I know you've been feeling a little under the weather, a little sick. So I hope you feel better. But we'll be back tomorrow night and next week for another podcast. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, all those things. You're supposed to ring a bell on YouTube, so do that. We'll be here. Until then, Bye bye.